Hey guys, welcome back to This Week on the Challenge with me, Adrian. Today we're going to be recapping episode 6 of season 35 of Total Madness, and I have to say this episode was long. I really thought that they were dragging out like certain scenes as long as they could, and I just didn't know why they weren't moving on. But all we got was the elimination, or the end of the elimination from last week. We went back to the house for a little bit of drama. We went to the challenge, and that was it. Like, we didn't even get them going back for nominations. We didn't get the scene of them going to that bar that they've been to every single week. We didn't see any sort of tribunal interrogation, and we didn't even get to go to the next elimination. So honestly, this episode was made up of like nothing. Like, they were just dragging things out for such a long time. But anyways, we pick back up from where we left off last week, which was in the purgatory. Jay left lying down after Rogan had body slammed him. And so he still, was looking very disoriented. No one knew if he had broken an arm, broken a rib, or broken something. Like, we didn't know if he was hurt. And it seems like he's been lying there for quite a few minutes. And it seems like he's been lying there for quite a few seconds, because producers actually start walking over to see if he's okay. And he does get up, so, he didn't break any bones or hurt himself, but he does look very disoriented, like he didn't know what was going on, and he was actually looking quite pale in the face. So, he really, really, truly just got the wind knocked out of him when Rogan body slammed him, but he didn't want to quit. Jay is not a quitter, and he decided to keep going for rounds 2 and 3. And so in round 2, his strategy now was to throw the ball into the hole so that he would avoid any contact with Rogan. Good strategy, but he didn't get the ball in. And then 3rd round, he kind of did the same thing. It didn't go in either. So after he did the 3 rounds, it was now time to switch, and Rogan was on the offensive, and it was time for Jay to be on the defensive. And so during that switch, he kept asking the producer what the rules were, and just seeming like he wasn't understanding what she was saying at all, because he was clearly just so disoriented after getting, everything knocked out of him. And so she recognized that, and she called the medic over, who said that he was, he had to go to the hospital because she didn't think that he was well. Because of that, TJ did eliminate Jay from competing in the challenge because he didn't think that he was fit enough to compete anymore. So it's unfortunate that Jay left. I really liked Jay this season. I think he left a big mark on the challenge, being thrown 3 times out of 3 in the first 3 weeks, winning 2 out of 3, and I bet it would have been 3 out of 3 if Rogan didn't knock him down that time. But also winning against one of the challenge legends, CT. I think he's really cemented himself, at least as a player in this game, now as a rookie, and hopefully coming back in the future and becoming a veteran. So really hope we get to see Jay again in the future, but sad to see him go. But on the flip side, now we get Rogan, who ends up getting a red skull. And God, that really annoyed me, because sure, he was the one that, knocked Jay out, and that's why Jay had to be eliminated, but it didn't really seem like they competed or really played any game. So it's kind of annoying that Rogan now has a red skull and a ticket to the final when, he didn't really do anything. So annoying, and I hope someone else in the future takes Rogan out in a future elimination. I hope he doesn't make it to the final, because I don't like him already from previous weeks, but I also don't think that he really earned his way into the final this time either. Then we get them back in the house, and usually this scene, of them back in the house, usually only lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. But in this episode, it dragged on. I swear it lasted for at least half the episode. But in all of this house drama, we really had 2 main storylines, which was Bear and Kailah, and then Jenna and Zach. So with Bear and Kailah, this was the aftermath of them kissing in the bathroom last week, and Kailah is understandably upset and really confused, and she obviously doesn't want to deal with the fact that she may lose her boyfriend out of this kiss with Bear, and she's also feeling really guilty. So just overall super upset, and Bear still continues to be persistent with her and flirting with her in front of the whole house. So at this point, I'm sure that she's getting super annoyed. But then Bananas and Wes play a prank on them and decide to redecorate Bear's little bedroom corner of the room. They fold little like swan towels and just lay out the bed to look super romantic, but they steal a picture of Kailah and her boyfriend and stick it on the ceiling. So Kailah walks in, she sees the bed, you know, super cute and romantic, and she thinks it's actually pretty sweet. And then she looks at the ceiling and she just gets so pissed off because it's so disrespectful. And so she actually ends up blaming Bear because she thinks that he was the one that set this up. Like, I don't think she knew that Johnny and Wes set this up, but she's just, you know, super done with him. She was really mad that she thought that he disrespected her like that. But in reality, I mean, she really disrespected her relationship, but you know, she's just mad in general that this is happening. And a few of you actually let me know that Kailah is no longer with the boyfriend that she was with on the show. So, you know, knowing that Bear actually really did mess up their relationship, that really sucks. But knowing now that they're not together anymore, I mean, Kailah might as well have continued to hook up with Bear throughout the show because, you know, she's no longer with the boyfriend. But I mean, we'll see if that continues to happen throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, as of now, it looks like Kailah's pissed and done. So the second storyline we get is of Jenna and Zach. So I was kind of wondering why they put that little scene of them FaceTiming in the previous episode, but now I totally get it. So Jenna basically can't get a hold of Zach through FaceTime for a couple days, and so she ends up calling her friend to ask what's the problem. And her friend basically says that Zach is super upset because of DMs that he found in Jenna's inbox from 2 years ago of her talking to other guys. And so Jenna immediately says that 2 years ago they were broken up, so she was free to talk to whoever she wanted because she was single. And you know, she's also super upset just at the fact that, you know, Zach's so mad and that he could potentially break up with her over this. And so she really wants to go home. She's talking to all the girls in the house and asking them for advice, and a lot of them are actually telling her to stay because for Zach to create all this drama while she's away and in a stressful situation in the challenge house is super selfish of him, and they all see that. So they're really encouraging her to stay in the house. But Jenna does manage to finally get a hold of Zach on FaceTime, and Zach is super upset. He accuses her of cheating. He said that she lied. She's not the same person that he's known this whole time, and he's basically kind of, you know, not in those words, but kind of demanding for her to come home because he's so upset. And Jenna, who these past years we've seen her totally like fall after Zach and do anything he basically wants, is really contemplating going home because she wants to make it right with him. Interestingly enough, when she talks to Tori, who seems like such an independent woman, you know, she doesn't take any crap from anybody, says that if she were in her position and if Jordan was threatening to break up with her, she would leave everything and go home immediately. Which, sure, I mean, if your partner really needs your support for something important, I would say, yeah, you should go home and support your partner. But in this case, when he's trying to create drama while she's already in a stressful situation, it's just kind of crappy to do. And so I was really surprised by Tori's response on this, but Jordan comes in and says that if the roles were reversed, he would stay because he sees how selfish Zach is being. So, I mean, Jenna is clearly very confused. I think that honestly, 2 years ago, I mean, we obviously don't know what happened, but if they really were broken up during that time, this is such a red flag for Jenna because not only is he creating drama for no reason, one thing that no one mentioned on the episode was how creepy it was that he was scrolling through her DMs from 2 years ago. Like, that is a lot of messages to go through and read, and that is not a good trait to have in a partner. And if they were together, I mean, although I can't even imagine that happening because Jenna literally does anything to make Zach happy, so I could not see a situation in which Jenna would cheat on him. So I mean, it's just kind of an icky, like, red flag sort of situation. But you know, in real life, they actually did get engaged in December. So we know that they obviously patched things up after the show was over, but I really hope that Jenna does not have to deal with this kind of BS anymore in the future. And another thing that comes up a lot in this episode is of how much Tori wants to go in the elimination. So I felt like there was a lot of chatter of her wanting to go in, lots of scenes of her saying that she wants to go in. So I feel like they're possibly setting it up for her to go in this week, but Let's see. So we finally get to the challenge, and it's called Fast and Furious, and it's going to be played in pairs of 2 in guy-girl pairs. So basically they're going to be hanging on the side of a truck. They're going to be tethered to each other, and they have to pick up 10 puzzle pieces that are stuck onto the side of the truck, and they're each stuck on by magnets. So they kind of have to be careful of body weight because they're tethered. They also have to be careful that the pieces don't fall off, and then they have to climb to the top of the truck and then solve the puzzle at the very top. So because there are uneven numbers right now, one of the guys has to go twice, and it was randomly selected to be Jordan. So first up is Nani and Jordan and Dee and Swaggy, and Nani and Jordan kill it in this challenge. They're super in sync, super organized. They get all their pieces together, they climb to the top, and they solve their puzzle pretty quickly. Dee and Swaggy were doing okay. They did get their puzzle pieces, but they were a little bit slower, and they timed out, and they never got to finish their puzzle. So next is Tori and Josh on one side, and Kyle and Big T on the other. So right off the bat, Josh accidentally kicks one of the puzzle pieces off with his foot. He doesn't even see it. Tori doesn't see it either. They go through the whole thing. They actually do really well, and they manage to pick up all the pieces and solve the puzzle. But once they solve it, they realize that they're missing one piece. And they really didn't see that puzzle piece dropping off the truck, so they truly believe that one piece was missing for them. But unfortunately, it was Josh that knocked it off with his foot, and so they don't get to finish because they don't have that piece. Kyle and Big T, you know, they do okay. They get their pieces. Big T is scared to, like, you know, jump around on the truck because she's scared that she's gonna fall. And honestly, I think her commentary this season has been so cute. Last season, she obviously went out really early in the game, so we didn't get to hear much from her. From what I've seen this season, I really like her, and I think she's really funny. But they also timed out and never got to finish the puzzle. Next is Maddie and Corey on one side versus Fessy and Jenna on the other. They both actually end up kind of in a similar position where the guys can't reach the last piece because it's so far from their rope, and they even try swinging to it and are reaching for it like crazy, but they just can't reach it. So they never, like, on both sides, both of them didn't even get their last piece and could not solve their puzzle. So both teams were also eliminated. So next are Jenny and Rogan on one side and Anissa and Nelson on the other. And I actually don't even remember that much about what happened to Jenny and Rogan, but they both already have their red skulls at this point, so it doesn't really matter. But Anissa and Nelson, they do pretty well by getting their puzzle pieces, but when Anissa was grabbing one of hers, she accidentally lets go and doesn't clip it onto her belt, and so the puzzle piece falls, and they basically are eliminated because they can't continue the challenge. Like, they can't finish the puzzle. And strangely enough, Nelson starts accusing Anissa of throwing the challenge intentionally and saying that, you know, she dropped her puzzle piece and that she wanted to throw the challenge. I couldn't quite understand why he was getting so upset at her. Maybe they were fighting previously about something, but he was going at her hard right on the top of that truck. When they got down during that interview, he was berating her and saying all these things and making her cry. When they walked back to the group of challengers, he continued to yell at her in front of them and basically, like, just looked so horrible in front of the group to her and told them that she didn't throw it because no one in the group believed that she threw the challenge, and it didn't look like it to me either when I watched it. She really did look like she dropped it, but at least she told them to shut the F up because he was being so rude. Then we get Casey and Bear and Bananas and Melissa. They both groups do really well. Melissa and Bananas end up solving their puzzle first, but Casey and Bear also end up fixing their puzzle, so they also completed the challenge. In the last round, we get Kailah and Wes, and then Jordan coming back in for his second round with Bailey. And you would think that Jordan, having already done this in the first round and crushing it with Nani, would also crush it in this round. And honestly, I think that was what Bailey was also banking on, because she looked like she was just standing there waiting for him to fix the puzzle at the top of the truck. But Jordan was actually having a lot of trouble with this, which to her, I understand why she's frustrated, but to him, you know, every puzzle is different. And so you really have to work together with your partner, 2 brains instead of 1, to fix this puzzle, not just 1 brain to fix this puzzle for both of you. And so they didn't end up fixing the puzzle. They timed out, and I think Kailah and Wes also timed out. But Bailey gets so pissed off at him and starts mouthing off to him. And then when they get off the truck and are doing their interviews, they start fighting, and Bailey calls him out and says he wanted Nany to win. That's why he helped her win so quickly, and that he didn't want Bailey to win, which is why he basically didn't do anything. But, you know, Bailey, you're in this challenge too, so you could have solved that puzzle too instead of just standing there. And so they get so loud with each other, and they're fighting and they're mouthing off to each other, which I honestly think is so funny and amazing, because I like Jordan, but I also don't like how rude he is and aggressive he is when he's mouthing off to other challengers. And so for Bailey to take him on like that, I was like, go Bailey, fight, 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 fight. So the winner of this challenge ends up being Jordan and Nany, who Bailey is standing right next to him and looks so pissed off. It's hilarious. It must be so awkward to be standing right next to her. But Jordan and Nany win. Nany picks Jenna to be in the tribunal with them because she wants to protect her for another week, and she doesn't want her friend to go home, so she thinks that that's her best opportunity of getting her to stay, because otherwise it seemed like the entire house was going to vote Jenna into the elimination. So Nany was really protecting her friend there. I would say that in this challenge of Fast and Furious, I would give myself a 4 out of 5. I mean, I don't think it looked overly difficult. I mean, I'm sure it's difficult to swing the pieces around and stuff, but yeah, I don't think it was particularly crazy. So I'll give myself a 4 out of 5. Let me know about you. But yeah, like, that's literally all we get in the episode. The end of last elimination, back in the house drama, and the challenge, and that was it. So like I said, they really dragged on everything in this episode to make a full hour of content. At this point, only one guy has his red skull, so I'm sure there's more challenges to come, more eliminations, so give it to us. We want to see it. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on this week's episode, how you think you would do in the challenge, and also your thoughts on the Bear Kailah drama and Jenna and Zach drama. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.